10 seconds remaining. Reserve time. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team pick.
Doom.
Radiant team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Clockwork! Ancient apparition.
Dire team pick.
Night Stalker.
Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. Oh! Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. Dire team ban. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Templar Assassin.
Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Lich.
Radiant team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Slada.
Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Brood mother.
Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Winter Wyvern.
Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Lion.
Prepare for battle.
All right, Merlini, it is in fact our guaranteed last game of this semi-final. Before we get into the grand finals, EG versus CDEC, we've got a Doom and a Broodmother on one side, and a Slardar and a Templar Assassin on the other. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I'm liking EG's lineup. I see a lot of synergy, but then I just look at the individual heroes. Doom and Broodmother are pretty potent in this current patch.
We haven't seen too many Broodmothers go that crazy, though, today. It seems like teams are slowly starting to deal with them, even without hard Broodmother counters, so...
Yeah, we had that one Misery game, but it was just like, he got really far ahead, but he wasn't able to do, like, that much with it. As it was, he just got hunted down. Slaughter seems to be a pretty potent counter.
Yeah, the amp is really good if you can survive the laning phase. And they do have sentries, 2 sentries on Ancient Apparition, and Dust on the Winter Wyvern, so they clearly want to kill him a lot early. Or at least keep him away from the Slardar. And once you get 6, like, Brood can't really show himself in the lane. And you also want the early Blink Dagger on Slardar. And I think their team fights are actually a lot better than CDEC's, who usually don't skimp out on that aspect of their lineup.
We're going to see CDEC actually run the Lich here in the middle lane to get that early harassment against RTZ. Rough lane. As, especially because there's so much emphasis on these supports to shut out the Broodmother, you're not going to have the your fellow support to actually help you out against this Lich. At least not in the beginning anyway. Universe, he goes for the Cogs block, actually puts one of the creeps in the side. A little bit harder to do it on the Radiant side, but still possible. Just requires you to use 1 Tango. And this will make the creep equilibriums go a little bit to his favor. He'll have a nice creep wave right in front of his tier 1.
Not the most effective tool versus the Doombringer though, because Doom can just go into the jungle and then you can have your support take over to the lane who desperately needs experience. So it's decent for them, and Aggressive already has a large creep and he's utilizing the pool, so they're maximizing experience out of this top lane, even versus one of the best offlaners.
Or XZ, he's gonna try and skitter his way through the side, but Peter, he knows what's going on. He'll force XZ back as soon as he gets that damage on him. He has to break through the trees and is kind of forced away. He's not even going to be able to go for the rune, really. The middle lane, RTZ is going to take some more damage, but they can't pursue him out that far. They just continually push back against him and prevent him from getting CS.
Yeah, AA seems on permanent Broodmother duty. It's just a really difficult time for XZ to do anything.
Oh no! He actually placed the web in order to get over to the rune, but he didn't quite have it far enough to the right, so he couldn't even get into his own web. The result is the haste rune is going to be taken by the Ancient Apparition. PPD immediately goes to shutting down XE once again.
It's going okay for CDEC, I suppose, because the mid lane RTZ has kind of been hampered in his efforts to CS.
Yeah, it seems like they shut down the Broodmother enough that they're just going to leave one support there, and pretty classically, the Winter Wyvern is a great mid support.
I want to see what build Shiki goes, though, on his Night Stalker, whether or not it's going to be like a phase and chase people down with Urn, which is especially good versus Templar Assassin, or whether it's going to be a more greedy Midas. It's highly unlikely that it's going to be a Midas, but they do have a Broodmother, which means that you want more late game insurance, especially when your Doombringer is a 1. Like, their high ground ability is just terrible, and they really need to win the lanes and control the map in order to win the game.
Gardner pushed away by Universe. Universe is about to pick up his level 4. Aggressive just gets a bit of damage on him. He did go back, as you were talking about when he did the Cogs block, he went back and got the Wolf Commander. So, a great one to have. This does mean that the lane is going to push out constantly, though, because they've got that extra damage, so Clockwork should be getting
dangerously low.
Ooh, yeah, he really does. PPD goes for the level on Ice Vortex rather than Cold Feet. Not terribly surprising.
And no meld on Templar Assassin. So that's, I mean, that's better if you're just gonna AFK farm and do stacks, do Ancients or whatnot.
Yeah, that should be the Winter Wyvern's job every minute. Look to stack that up, and it looks like RTZ is going to be stacking up the hard camp at the exact same time. Knowing that the laning phase matchup is not going to be the greatest, they need to try and really abuse that Radiant side jungle as much as possible.
So there are already, what, 3 stacks there on the Ancients, so that's going to be really good. I think this EG early game phase is a slight win for them, just because the Broodmother is getting next to nothing. Already forced back to heal, nowhere close to completing the Soul Ring, and it only took 1 support to zone him out. And now they actually have to bring the Lich over.
They use the Tango to be able to kill the ward, but now Lich is actually going to get caught here. He's definitely dead. That's going to be your first blood. PPD runs himself away, actually runs into the counter ward, but doesn't choose to try and eat it just yet. He's just trying to stay ahead of Shiki, who knows that rotation is coming in, but the Void slows him down even further, and he will go down. A trade-off there, 1 for 1, but look at the heavy rotations. Jesus, CDEC. They're actually now committing aggressive as well, and they're going to find some... Oh... Hey, they're not going to find some, at least not yet anyway.
Yeah, he hit a couple of
had 1 Tango to get here. Alright, they finally find him, but now the TPs are going to be able to come in. A 2-man stun. Smel's just going to have to battle it out with Shiki as best as possible. The Cold Feet proc. Aid might actually lock down Shiki here with Universe coming in as well. The battery salt's taking him away. They don't get the stun, and Universe can stay in line, but they still can get a stun here. Actually gets Mini stunned up for a second, but Q gets hit by that one. EG hoping to be able to lock him down, but the CDC still have 4 heroes here. Universe and the rest of EG can't fight just yet into all of this, being corralled into their tier 1 tower. An incredibly unusual amount of aggressiveness from CDEC. I mean, they're a team that's known for these kind of plays, but at 5.5 minutes, it's pretty absurd. Universe goes for the kill on Q, leaves him with just 13 HP. Now they get a stun out from Samael, but EG going for that one wasn't really worth it. Now Samael's going to be dropping dangerously low. He's going to be able to slow everyone down. Fear nicely played with the Splinter Blast. They're going to turn on to aggressive, but Samael still does not have the damage necessary to go on that Doom. So the rest of EG back out, and CDC also realized they're low enough. They need to back themselves away. If it wasn't for the kill on the Clockwork, I would say that was a win for EG.
I also think so, because TA is now top on the CS chart, and CDC, they took way too long to find the slaughter. AA had died and then revived, and then, oh my goodness.
Oh, this is going to be close to get the rocket. Double kill for Universe. What a beautifully placed rocket. Level 3 picks up both. Well worth the loss of our Samael.
Wow, that was all the way from the fountain.
Very nicely played. Throws it out for that 6-minute rune. And as you said, the Templar Assassin, top of the net worth, or top of the last hits anyway, the net worth still going in the favor of the Night Stalker thanks to those kills. But you have to remember RTZ still has lots of farm to fall back on. No hard camp stack, but the Ancients is still ready to go.
They wanted to secure Brood's lane though, and then they saw EG commit a few people. It's like, okay, we got to bring everybody. We need everyone down here.
Yeah.
You want your Brood to be able to at least get level 5 and then rotate into the jungle if there's a lot of heroes down there. And their window of opportunity for Broodmother actually being a huge factor in the game is really limited because Slaughter's halfway to level 6. But luckily he did have to commit to a Treads early, so he can't get away with just a Brown Boots Blink Rush, which would have made Broodmother's life much more difficult.
Right. They are going to have a very fast level 6 on Ancient Apparition, though, because of that the kills they got, the double kill that he got solo experience for both of those. So we're talking about a very direct counter to the Doom.
And let's see, they do ward up that spot. They don't have any like long range initiation though, like nothing like a Clockwork to kind of catch the TA who's going to be taking that stack out at some time. I guess that's kind of Night Stalker's job to do that, but he is not really that strong yet, opting for a Treads and more tanky build. Yeah,
and plus if TA does it during daytime, I really don't think they can contest the stack at all. Maybe during nighttime they could, but daytime is happening here in just 5 seconds. CDEC are actually going to go for the smoke up, knowing that the Templar Assassin is busy.
Oh,
perhaps.
That's a haste. That's the worst rune, I would say. I don't know if they have any detection. So invisibility would have been just as bad. But Arteezy's free to take out the stack. It's already pretty low. Arteezy is not actually microing his illusions, and even if he pops a smoke, it's going to be a little bit too late.
Carter comes forwards, is revealed, gets off the Hex, now Shiki makes it nighttime, and Arteezy still has the Refraction. It's coming up in another 2 seconds, but the Finger of Death will be enough to finish him off. The question is, are they going to be able to catch these heroes? There's a lot of heroes committed for this one. Hookshot in, grab 2, Universe great setup, but he doesn't have enough mana for the cogs as Splinter Blast comes forward. Garter is low, Sumail immediately gets doomed up, and a great fight for CDEC. Looks like they may lose Garter at the last tick of that Cold Feet proc, but still, they shut down the Templar Assassin. Might even take some of the stack, though. This is risky with the amplified damage. Ice Blast over the top. Shiki is going to be just barely clipped by that one, and he will fall because of it. Now Sumail surges forward. He's got that sprint going forward, trying to catch up to Aggressive. He doesn't have Scorched Earth, and that means he's very susceptible to all this physical damage. But Q managed to slow down Sumail. Now he's got to get out of here, but he doesn't have sprint anymore. He just turns and fights Aggressive as best as possible. Got the stun up, goes for the kill, manages to get the double stun, and gets it in the end. Q now tries to finish off Sumail, but the right click isn't enough, and he's going to be turned around on as Arteezy comes in through the side. CDEC, all the aggressive plays in the world won't save you from that one.
They had to dive in way too deep to kill that, kill the Templar Assassin, because Clockwork was able to hookshot and kind of trap them on top of the hill over there, and that's one of the weaknesses with their lineup. They have to like run in to actually do anything, as opposed to being able to hook in with a Clockwork or blink in with a Slardar to just get a quick and easy pick. That's ideally what you want versus Templar Assassin.
Right.
And I don't think they have an urn yet, though. Shiki's actually pretty underfarmed considering the help that he got from the Lich at the start. Without that urn, they can't really take on the refraction charges fast enough to come out of fights relatively unscathed.
Considering he was easily top of the net worth board at one point in time. Oh, they got the amplified damage onto XC, and this is really the beautiful thing about, oh, the hookshot misses. About the Slardar versus the Broodmother is that the Broodmother, that movement speeds and that invis is only predicated on you being able to stay inside your webs, but Slardar just chases you down with all that vision he gets from Amplify.
And here they go, it's classic CDEC style, another smoke trying to make things happen before Slardar gets his Blink Dagger.
Going into that jungle, if they get PPD, they won't be happy. PPD seems to know exactly what's happening. In fact, he's not even going to be ganked up, it looks like. With the Ice Vortex slowing them down, CDEC don't catch up in time. And he pops the smoke for free. Great read by EG.
Yeah, sick positioning by him. They also don't scout out that stack that's a little bit to the left of the Observer Ward. And TA is well on her way to, you know, getting an early Deso. Combine that with Slardar, and they can easily smoke in and take Roche when CDEC doesn't really have that full control of the map. They're forced to move around in pretty large packs because Clockwork's like really good against any of their heroes that he catches out. Aside from perhaps Brood if he has Spiderlings around.
Yeah.
Middle tower has been denied.
They managed to get the deny on the middle tower. Arteezy couldn't commit to that one. Looks like you'd go for the Desolator builds here, right? just to ensure more split pushing, more minus armor between him and the amplified damage.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just to get the Aegis though, and
Yeah.
smoke up with Slardar and take it down really quickly, or even just smoke up by yourself and get Slardar to blink in. I think it's going to be a big problem if TA is allowed to get that Aegis. And CDC, they're really suffering in terms of farm and Shiki. Shiki is 3,500 net worth. That's just a little bit ahead of Universe's Clockwork, who has died 2 times.
Evil Genius is, if that's the plan.
Oh,
if
they scouted
Roshan
out
is-
these two with a TA trap.
Yeah. So RTZ is going to be able to slow them down, Gardner. Can't get the long-range stun in. Now, if that's going to be part of your plan, do you make actually a concerted effort to bring down that tier 1 tower in the bottom lane?
I think you need to keep like XZ around that area, but he has no control. He's like always huddled next to his tower. If he gets amped up, he is, you know, kind of rendered useless for the next 30 seconds, and a blink stun can easily kill him. He has no HP, so you kind of, I think they need to gank the Brutes lane and then take that tower, or just gank the Brutes lane and let her take control of the jungle. But I think it's going to be a little bit too late. Sumail hunting around with an invisibility rune, just 150 gold away from his blink. If he manages to die at this point, maybe they can take control of that, but I think the blink is going to be very problematic combined with Clockwork's hookshot. Even with a Night Stalker on their team, I still think that they're going to get jumped a lot. He's not really scouting too much with his broodlings. It's mostly just pushed in lane, and they have like max rocket flare.
Shiki actually runs right into some mail there. The ward gets placed down. I'm not sure. I think CDEC actually saw that with nighttime vision from the Night Stalker. So they shouldn't be surprised by this smoking.
They're really getting punished though for the Broodmother.
Carter's gonna get picked off.
They've had to devote so many resources on the side of CDC to help them after the poor early game.
Yeah.
So it was just one AA that they committed for like 3 or 4 minutes, and in return for the Brood pick, they've had to throw like 3 or 4 heroes down here for the past 10 minutes to get a grasp of this lane, and they haven't been able to manage Sardar's Blink Dagger. They haven't been able to keep AA from hitting level 6. They lost their mid T1 tower because they had so many heroes down there, and that's just going to lead to a super easy Roche soon.
XZ just gets bursted down. Nice positioning there with the counter ward. Heading right on top of the Broodmother. This is looking worse and worse for CDEC. As if they can manage... Oh, they're actually gonna go... I'm not sure if they could go straight for Roshan. They have to wait out the Desolator. But I'd love for EG to actually take the CDEC tier 1 tower at that bottom lane, just to free up Roshan that much more. Shiki is going to be gone on here with the Winter's Curse and the amplified damage. That is such a sick combination. Later on into the game, when you have Winter's Curse catching some of those allies, and you have amplified damage on the person that's being hit, so much synergy between those two.
Shiki's mid versatility is coming in a suspect more and more recently, and we saw him dominate on the Lina, but other heroes that we've seen, the Ember Spirit, first the Night Stalker, here it's just very underwhelming in terms of being able to take control of the game like a lot of the other mid heroes, or even just pressure other lanes. It's nighttime, and still he's just getting picked up. EG doesn't even care that it's nighttime.
Blade Mountain now finished up for the Clockwork. We've got an urn on the Ancient
Smoke
Apparition.
movement
That'll help.
down bottom.
Sumail, is he going to be caught by this one? It looks like Sumail's actually going to be going for the minus. Kind of like this idea.
I think it might be Armlet.
Oh, yeah, okay. I see that.
They don't need a minus. TA does way more than enough damage.
Yeah.
But
I was thinking of the Midas because we used to see, like, when Alliance would run, the Slardar, Lodo would occasionally go for the Midas, similar to the lane that a Wraith King would, but I agree with you. I think the Armlet makes a lot.
Midas isn't that bad, but I think versus the CDC, you don't really need to go Midases, because they don't...
They're such
I
an
guess
aggressive team that it doesn't make much sense getting on farming items.
you'll lose out on fights that you would have won if you had 2,000 gold in fighting items instead.
Yeah.
And their late game's not even that scary. They have an underfarmed Night Stalker, a useless Broodmother, and a Doombringer as their position 1. Doombringer is pretty farmed, but it's just a Doombringer. And he can easily get focused down with Slardar, because he has to build like a lot of armor items, or just Winter's Curse.
With the Ice Blast.
Yeah, Ice Blast.
That gets him so heavily because he's not a very... Like, he's got a lot of HP, but he doesn't have a whole lot of armor, so he's susceptible to the amplified damage, and he's overly dependent on his HP regen at that point.
Yeah, Ice Blast is going to destroy him, and at least they get the bottom tower on the side of CDEC, so that's kind of decent. That will help them try and secure Roche, but EG, they're not really under that much pressure. They just get picks off with Slardar, just try and avoid Doom. Like, have we seen a Doom yet?
No, no. There was one on Semifinal, but it didn't.
Oh, yeah.
All it stopped was his aggression. It didn't actually threaten Semifinal. As he continued and actually killed the Doom later on in that fight.
Still, the lack of initiation is really hurting them. Maybe once Garda gets his Blink Dagger, which is just 300 gold, they can make another move. But as of this point, EG just kind of playing smart. Look at all these traps in the opponent's jungle. He's always keeping tabs on them. First it was a HOD creep in game number 2, and now it's this. And where do they really move? They anticipate the smoke ganks, and then if they see anyone in their jungle farming, they know that they're not smoking, and they can just completely take advantage of the other side of the map.
Yeah, exactly. They just saw the Lich rotate into the jungle. Shiki is all alone in this middle lane. They'll quickly pick him off.
Yeah, and I mean, Doom's okay, but like you have to be able to Doom people and kill people. He doesn't have any kills, just 1 assist in 17 minutes of the game, and they're like, okay, whatever, we'll let you farm. How are you going to deal with our TA later?
Yeah.
And yeah, she might get doomed once, but she'll most likely have the Aegis, especially with this T2 tower taken down. It's super unlikely that CDEC can defend it, especially with daytime.
Yeah, and combine the fact that EG oftentimes are going to get the initiation. If you're doing, you know, kind of a defensive Doom, you're reacting to the aggression of RTZ. He's probably going to get a Blink Dagger here, right, as his next item. And then you're talking about RTZ jumping in, pretty much blowing up one hero with a meld, and then, yeah, you doom him, but he'll just keep fighting. He'll still put out a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think they might have gotten inspired by the earlier Lich pick versus the Slardar, which seemed to do pretty well versus Monkey Business, but that was versus a support Slardar, and one that wasn't able to get Blink that early, as well as no synergy with the amplified damage. When you're talking about like heavy levels of amp plus meld strike and then a Desolator, the Frost Armor only does so much versus that. Like you'll die in 2 hits. Instead of 3, perhaps.
His reaction to all those broodlings skittering up to him is to quickly ice blast it, and then they get the rocket. He knows that the broodmother's probably nearby. He didn't want to risk going down to that swarm. And there's the armlet, as you predicted, for the Slardar. Nice fighting item for him. He's going to be tanky as all hell.
Looks like XZ and Doom have built Midases, so they're trying to transition into a later game build, but Doom's also committing for a BKB right now, which is also not very good versus Ice Blast, not very good versus Amp, not very good versus Winter's Curse, and not very good versus Meld/Dezo. So I think they don't have the items to team fight them, they don't have the heroes that are suitable for late game, and they also don't have the team fight because of the Broodmother. So all aspects of their lineup have kind of fallen apart because of the weak early game from CDEC.
Do you think you should have gone like the armor builds, Shiva's AC on the...
I think he just needed to be involved more.
Yeah.
Like, the way that they played was just sacking the Brood completely. They went for a gank before him, but it was a little bit too late, and kind of left him to the wolves there. It might have been better for him to kind of pair him up top, and then have like a Doom Lion in the bottom lane to make sure that Brood has a good early start. But when Brood gets off to a start like this, like how are you supposed to recover? Like Slaughter is just always going to hunt you down. TA can also just kill your creeps. Clockwork's always going to be hunting you. There's no real way for you to push out the lanes like you want to do as a Brood, unless people are under farmed. But they can't keep them under farmed if Semifinal just, you know, kind of has his own way for the first 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah, the pushing power of the Templar Assassin is coming into play with that Desolator and Refraction. CDC try and jump him, but he managed to blink back in time. Pierce now going to come forward, gets the Winter's Curse, catches Garter, and at the same time they're going to go on to Q, trying to blow up both supports at the same time. Neither one is successful as Q backs away, and they get a really good Change Frost. Looks like Semifinal is going to go down because of that one. RTZ jumps forward, going on to Shiki, does manage to finish him off. No miss percentage chance there, but he'll lose his Aegis, trapped in the side. Q is they're going to try and get him before he can blink himself away, but he pops a Refraction, blink is up. Over to the side, and doesn't look like CDEC even wanted to fight that Templar Assassin even underneath the tier 1 tower and in that trapped area. They probably figure it's just a bad idea with most of EG still up.
Bottom tower is under attack.
As you can see, whoa, almost two-shotting him. RTZ comes in close quarters with that Lich, but doesn't quite manage to finish him off.
That was a kind of waste of the Aegis though. And one downside of the armlet is that you take the regen if you get, or you take the negative regen if you get doomed. And I think he was at like 70% HP and just got owned by Chain Frost and Doom. So I think that Slaughter, like generally the build is like Blink Peek AB. Armlet is okay, but it looks like they were able to kind of burst down TA without using Doom. So they got kind of antsy. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
we have Aegis, we can fight now. But maybe they didn't see the BKB on Doom. Maybe they didn't think that CDEC was going to fight there, but they're not that far behind in terms of net worth, and it was during nighttime.
Ice Blast just barely touches Shiki, but it's enough to force him back from where he was farming.
I'm really surprised TA is going for Crystallis. MKB has a lot of value this game. He took way too long to kill I think it was a Night Stalker because he missed a few times because of Crippling Fear. On top of that, there's Incapacitating Bite. So those are spells that he has to deal with, and I mean, I guess it is kind of important to be able to have the option of one-shotting people.
Yeah,
and you don't really have to worry about Hex or anything.
Just like Desolator, there's a lot of very cheap value in the Crystallis. Maybe he doesn't fully commit to the Daedalus and just goes Crystallis and then MKB.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a fight here in the bottom lane. Looks like Universe trying to get away with his invis, but he's not gonna make it. The Ice Blast clips a couple, and Universe does go down. PPD actually may survive though. Earn for Nern. PPD still getting away. Shiki trying to catch up to Vision here, but they just continue to dive. They're going to lose their tier 2 in the top area. Shiki does manage to pick up the kill. But as said, RTC's just chopping away at that tier 2 tower, so the trade-off there, obviously to the favor of CDEC, but not dramatically so.
Probably the best gank that we've seen from CDC in the past couple of games.
Winter's Curse, the miss percentage chance is causing RTC some serious havoc though, and won't be able to finish him off. Looks like the Winter Wyvern managed to blink himself back, TP's out, and forces rotations from CDEC, but doesn't manage to get the kill for EG.
I mean, still, look at Cheeky's progression on the net worth chart. He's at number 6 right now. He's even fallen behind a Broodmother, who has kind of been shut down in the early stages of the game.
Yeah, rough game, even going
really
for the
rough.
Lads now.
They need a Scepter on him. They need, like, just way more items on him. He's almost doubled up by RTC in the mid lane.
Well, he's coming in soon. He's got the Yoga Club. Enough for the point booster, we'll see.
So we see Blink Dagger online. That's a really good step. Doom looks like he's going to build Shivas too. That's also another tool of initiation, although they probably need a blink on him so he can actually run in. Unless, of course, Night Stalker gets big enough that he can start off the fight. But I don't know if he's going to get there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either. I mean, how do you really continue to farm as a Night Stalker?
I'm a little surprised he didn't go into Midas, because Aggressive and XZ both did. So, like with the Midas, you're almost always like on the same tune with your other heroes. Like, oh, my ultimate's on cooldown, or it's like daytime. Okay, we'll farm when our Midases are up, and then go kill when our ultimates are up. And
Samael setting things up for RTZ. Farm through this stack. We're probably just gonna wait out the next Aegis. That's coming up in another 3 minutes time, so maybe a little bit of smoke movement, waiting out Roshan to spawn, and then we'll see that extra life for EG. Maybe even push uphill, and there's gonna be one of our smokes. And they do have more on EG, even if this one fails.
Nasty double damage, if he gets a crit with that.
Oh man, somebody could just pull a Houdini and disappear soon.
They're playing pretty well around the day/nighttime cycle, minus the one big blunder on that bottom T1 tower. CDEC as well. There's a much different rhythm to the game when there's a Night Stalker.
Yeah. Little things in life. Broodmother gets a strength treads at 25 minutes.
So another option to dealing with the miss from Crippling Fear is to get a Manta style or BKB. So it looks like he might be proceeding into that to dispel the fear. Also nice to, like, you know, if you suspect Lion's about to blink on you or Doom's about to doom you, you can Manta out and kind of buys you some survivability that BKB won't necessarily do for you.
There's a lot of pushing power because you got the Desolator and so much damage.
First world problems, man.
Yeah.
I did too much damage.
Universe is trying to build a 4-staff right now. Just interrupted the Broodmother's babies farming away at the Radiant jungle. But they've got to split this farm so heavily. It's like they're all fighting over who gets to farm up the Ancients. Because really it's, you deal with the mid lane push, you deal with the top lane push, maybe you farm Ancients, and that's about it. Their map control is so severely limited on the side of CDEC.
And here we see another smoke before daytime ends. Darkness is up. And hopefully they can pop Cheeky before he gets that off. I think he's actually the best target aside from Doombringer.
Here it comes. Managed to actually lock down Aggressive inside of the Cogs, and will just try and get out now. The Winter's Curse holds him in, and RTZ's going to commit for this kill. Does get zoomed up, but they manage to pick up the kill towards the tail end. The Chain Frost bouncing around, though. They've already taken out Samael as well as RTZ. Looks like Universe is going to go down inside soon as the right clicks falling in. Garter really committing for this one. He's going to take off for the Ice Blast Suitor or later. XC now coming forward inside of the webs, trying to catch up to Peter. Lays down another one, now pops the ultimate. PBD knows he's not escaping from this, just tries to buy as much time as possible, but another great situation. CDEC seemed to be getting really good Chain Frost.
That was a sick impale by Garter. He hit, I think, 3 heroes right as the Chain Frost was hitting them, and then the Doom TA and the Slar just both got eliminated. I think that they wanted to just kill Doom before he was able to pop his BKB and turn around and Doom someone, but he had way too much armor. Frost armor plus plate mail plus pretty good positioning.
And it felt like maybe Universe's initiation was just perhaps a bit too far forward. Like, he actually forced staff forward and then hookshot and everything else when he could have just waited out his team getting a bit closer.
Yeah, it's okay if you want to bait out the BKBs, but that did not seem like their plan. They wanted to burst them down, in which case it would have been better to wait for your whole entire team.
Yeah. Perhaps a little bit of mixed communication from the side of EG.
They do have a lot of
once
lockdown,
again.
though.
Sometimes he sees these heroes TPing out, he just can't get there in time, even with his sprint and blink.
That's a huge fight for CDEC, yet they still have the same problem of their late game being questionable.
Yeah, they are pulling back. I mean, the net worth advantage has never been massively in the favor of EG, only about 5 to 6k at one point, but now that's pulling down to about 2,500.
I mean, with Broodmother as well as Alchemist, you need a net worth lead to stay even. If it's even, you're losing. Obviously, if it's in the opposite team favor, you're really losing.
Yeah, Broodmother's just not a hero that fights very well and eventually drops off as the game goes later.
But BKBs should aid a little bit. They already have a blink dagger on Winter Wyvern, so that's actually really bad for CDC because they won't be able to pop their BKBs. They have like the chain stun with Winter's Curse and a blink slaughter stun, and by that time AA ult will hit, and then you're gonna die regardless of whether or not you BKB. So that's a little dangerous, and again, it's on Night Stalker to kind of control these fights and make sure that Winter Wyvern is spotted out in time, and I don't think they spotted his Ags. He does have an Ags and a gem, and will likely be able to scout out Fear if he tries to approach from the side. He's always in the tree line trying to fly with Arctic Burn, and then get a Winter's Curse on Doom or another high priority hero.
Looking for the Broodmother in the trees, but she's already retreated, knowing that this tier 2 tower's life is forfeit. And EG will actually continue forward. I doubt they're really going to commit to a push if hit the tier 3 at all, really.
They have so little catch from CDEC. As long as they have a force staff, they can just force staff away from the Lion initiation. So it's not that big of a deal if they slow siege this.
Well, what would EG wait on when it comes to items pushing uphill?
You just wait for a bigger net worth lead. Like CDEC is somewhat like their late game is not good. So you can the longer the game goes, the better it is for you. So it's not even just any particular item. It's just that they scale so much better. Like Daedalus on Templar Assassin or AC and BKB on Slaughter. If you really want me to name items, but it's just more like even net worth is better for EG.
If you're truly aiming at the best potential late game on a Doom, right? That's going to be a losing engagement, but you still are going in that direction anyway. What's the build?
BKB Shiva's Scepter Refresher, I would say.
Yeah, so you like the Ags Refresher.
But unfortunately, you need Shiki there to do the right-click damage if you go the utility build. And Doom's just not that great at a right-click build. He's really good at tanking and really good at just dooming people and double dooming people and just kind of taking 2 people out of the fights. But if you have no physical damage to back it up, then it's not terribly useful. And Broodmother really isn't going to be able to provide that physical damage, so that's where you need Night Stalker. We've seen some like Battle Night Stalker builds with like Armlet, sometimes like Abyssal is pretty good. Like one of those sort of builds, even like SNY, I've seen somewhat successfully on a Night Stalker, but those items are not on his horizon.
No, certainly not with only the Ags and Gem to operate on.
Or Helmet Dominator. I think Helmet Dominator is actually really good. They could really use the HOD armor as well as the ice armor. But even that is, what, 14 armor with level 4 ice armor? That's only, like, even level 2 Amplify will still put you in the negatives.
Another 2 minutes. EG, let's see if they actually try and use this this Aegis for a push uphill. Or if they just control the game and build up a network lead.
But Shivas is coming out pretty soon for Doom. I think they can actually take a really big fight off of that because he can blink Doom BKB in and Doom someone.
Yeah.
And TA without an Aegis is actually going to be pretty vulnerable to that. And they should be able to get the jump because of the Night Stalker. So that's a pretty huge spike in CDEC's jump in the lineup. And now that they have the Ags, they hopefully won't jump into the situation that they were in last fight where aggressive kind of gets jumped blindly.
One thing they're really missing here is the Aghanims on the Ancient Apparition.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's just Peter though. Peter.
Yeah. But at the same time, you're looking at the net worth. Like, he's still buying wards when you look at the Winter Wyvern. Is Glimmer Cape really that necessary when that gold could perhaps be better utilized to help the Ancient Apparition get Ags?
I mean, they can't really help it that much though, because Peter is the one that's like laying wards and whatnot, and Winter Wyvern has a lot more mobility with being able to fly and having the blink dagger, so naturally the Ancient Apparition is going to die more in the team fights. So it's, you know, it's really difficult to prevent that sort of discrepancy in between the two, unless you have Ancient Apparition never in the fights, but that's not Peter's style.
Yeah, I guess for me it's just the fact that
yeah, it is. I would agree that's more useful, but it would sacrifice too much and cause too much of a rift in EG's roles to kind of make that happen. Maybe they'll pick Alchemist and just kind of dump him, Max. You can feel rich for one day.
BD, now's your time to shine. Alright, we got Daedalus and Aghanims finished up for EG. CDEC, do they contest Roshan when it comes up in 3.5 minutes? Because we really have to look late into the future, it seems. EG are just very content with controlling this game.
I think with the Shivas they can actually take a fight. They don't have to wait for a Roshan.
Yeah, okay.
They have to wait for nighttime though, so let's see. Minimum Roshan respawn is 2.5 minutes, which is right about 36, which is
where nighttime starts.
So they can make a move, I would say, even before that, like 35-ish, 35-10.
Yeah, with the darkness going in.
Yeah, I don't know if Aggressive is going to commit to buying that Shivas, because if they do lose that fight, that's almost game over, because Doom won't have buyback, they lose Aegis and Cheese, and they get a lot of damage on their building, so it's a super risky play, but I also think it's super risky not doing anything, and letting TA get really big without having Ags Refresher on your Doombringer. If you have Ags Refresher on Doombringer, you Doom Slaughter, you Doom TA, and then boom, you're done. So it looks like they're going to smoke a little bit earlier than expected.
Pushing on out, this is...
Okay, now it's too obvious. Like, top tower is under siege, and yeah, no one's defending it, so...
The Brothers trying to rotate over,
yeah,
but...
They already know.
It's very slow, and EG just hold the high grounds. I mean, they're still going to be able to farm up, but they just farm very safely.
So let's see, next move. I don't know, EG could still have to play very carefully with darkness coming up, or nighttime coming up. Still, it's really hurting Shiki's farm. He's still number 6. Kind of, you know, Fear is 1,800 gold behind him. That is a really big, dangerous sign.
More wards, PPD. It's just like, no. Getting the Academic Scepter ever. I'm buying all the wards, all of them. On buying those obs. Like the Force Staff, coming in for the Lich. A little bit of extra utility for that guy. At least he's got something to do in the team fights now besides throw Chain Frost.
So now we come to a pretty tense team fight coming up. That's going to decide the fate of Roshan.
Tower is under attack.
Pop in the darkness. 6 minutes in, and we know it's going to be a rather early Roshan CDEC. See if they actually respond in time.
And as usual, when drafting against a Night Stalker, they have multiple tools to get vision, so they don't get jumped into darkness. They have the TA trap. They have the what was that BKB?
That was just a misclick.
And then they have the rocket flare from Clockwork. as well as a slight flying vision from Winter Wyvern. So that's all pretty useful to have versus the Night Stalker. But Night Stalker, I mean, still has the trump card with the Ags nighttime.
Those delicious spiderlings. So much farm for a Winter Wyvern.
Okay, did they finally get a gem? I saw. Oh yeah, now they're slowly starting to clear out traps, but there's still a ton of traps on their side of the river. But it's important to deward so that EG actually feels somewhat threatened when they go for a Roshan. Last two were just completely uncontested.
One of the obvious ones is they really need to take away that Roshan trap.
Yeah. Yep.
EG though, obviously you've seen kind of the net worth climbing over time because CDEC have been 5-manning, stuck inside their own base, so a lot more farm efficiency for EG at this point in the game, but it's all for nothing if they just lose one fight, as that one's coming up quite soon. 3,900 gold on our TZ. BKB next, just because of the Lion, and that missed percentage chance you were talking about earlier, still kind of annoying even with Manta.
Maybe Moonshard, so he can have room for Aegis. I don't really think he wants to... Okay. I think he wants to carry an Aegis, and I don't think he wants to have like 7,000 gold in his bank.
That actually makes a lot more sense. When he first said Moonshard, I was like, wait, what? But
yeah, he really needs the slots. He's too farmed.
First world problems.
Okay, this is it. CDEC needs to get there now.
Yeah, they certainly do. With all this minus armor, they take down Roshan so quick. Cheeky's making his way in, but Roshan's already dead. Too late for the CDEC. Oh, no bother. Oh, bother. He throws out the Doom. They're going to try and make the initiation onto Samael. They actually control him pretty well, but Gardner is immediately going to be popped. Now Universe blocks in. Cheeky. Samael jumps in, gives away that Aegis. Not a problem. They're going to be able to easily win this fight. Now Aggressive finally makes his debut as he was stuck on the cliff for a while. Jumps onto RTZ, called him Brains, and the Chain Frost's actually bouncing around quite nicely. Q's still going to go down. Looks like Universe. He's trying to get enough distance to maybe get a Force Staff and live. And yeah, they just blow up the Broodmothers. The rest of the team surges forward. Aggressive. Defensive Blink, the third Blink in this team fight. And gonna be locked in by the hook shot. That's gonna be a total wipe. And EG, that looks to be perhaps the end of the game as there's only 2 buybacks on the side of CDEC.
Ouch, that's a painful blink. I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. I don't think Roche was in danger of being stolen by CDEC, but just a game of tragedies for CDEC.
Certainly, at the very least, it's gonna be a lane of racks before CDEC can mount up 5.
Honestly, I think CDEC should start thinking about first picking the Lina in the first phase.
Yeah.
Is that important to them?
I will not disagree with that, considering his performance in game number 2. And EG, once again, just playing it very safe, as they've been doing all game long. They take the 1 lane of racks back out, and we may even see them wait for the next Roshan, get another Aegis. That would be Cheese as well.
Yeah, they had to blow both in the last fight, so it's not really warranted that they should push again. Buyback on Doom. It's good enough. Just one more pick on him. Still, just no damage coming out from CDC. Who does the damage in this? Night Stalker doesn't hit hard at all. Broodmother forced to go very defensive items, even with the Talisman of Evasion first over the Eagle Song. Lich has to deal with like the BKB on Slardar.
Double damage.
Then Lion a little bit, but even then they have Glimmer Cape from Winter.
He gets the MKB for RTZ. All out damage. So we'll probably see the Moonshard next up. And then he's going to be almost maxed out. Like he'll have to, maybe he'll swap out some items.
Regeneration.
Get Boots of Travels, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Boots of Travel for buyback is ideally next. Don't need the Moonshard.
Oh, hey, after that fight, PPD actually got his eggs. Just now noticed that.
That's scary.
Congrats. XC's trying to build a butterfly, but he's only got the smaller parts, not that bigger Eagle Song.
Shiki's poorer than the Winter Wyvern. It has happened.
Yep, your mid is now behind supports. 3-man Ice Blast. And EG just sort of taunting CDC at this point in time.
So they've had like really good coordination with their clockwork rockets, I think. Like as you mentioned, like the ice blast into clearing the spiders, as well as like the double kill on bottom. I think the rocket has been a fairly important part for their early game. White Clockwork will continue to be a top pick.
I like the low start versus the incoming Hex. They get the Shiva's initiation, but Smail's already got the sprint plus BKB up. In fact, he turns around, gets a quick bash on aggressive Fear, managed to get off the Winter's Curse with the AC coming in for the side. Arteezy, he's going to be able to blow up a lot of these heroes unless he gets rolled up in that line, which is exactly what happens. The Conk's pushback does a lot of damage, but it's still not enough to finish up any of those heroes. Universe tries to save Arteezy's initiation, but CDEC find the opening that they really needed.
And finally, they get a good jump with nighttime. That's what Night Stalker's all about. Getting the jump on them. Arteezy didn't have a BKB, so he just got hexed and died. It also didn't pop his Manta in time.
He was in like such a great position to go just completely wild there, but fortunately that Lion Garter comes in at the right time.
Yeah, now
A lot of respect to him. By
now
the way.
the deaths are like significant enough that like the Doom's gonna cool down by the time that Temple
The Ice Blast actually kind of misses down, and Samael doesn't have a BKB. Oh dear, they're going to be able to grab guard, and that'll be a free kill, but if they lose Samael for it, it's not really going to be worth it. They throw the Lotus Orb on Samael, trying to protect him. Aggressive just needs the level death, perhaps a little bit more right clicks, jumps forward, gets the level of death. Aggressive finds the kill, but now he's going to be hook shotted down. He's already lost his Broodmother ally. He pops a BKB and turns to fight Peter, but one right click just did no damage whatsoever. There's no way they can threaten any of these heroes enough, and EG just stay on top of Aggressive long enough to get that additional kill. CDEC, they found original pickoff.
Wow, that's slow from Arctic Burn and Icy Vortex. Did you see Doom?
Oh yeah,
He's moving like a snail.
Even with Scorched Earth, which is supposed to give him that extra movement speed, didn't matter.
So little do EG know that Aggressive does not have a buyback. He bought 2 Perseverances in hopes of completing his refresher.
Well, the Ice Blast misses, but Universe may still be able to get the kill anyway, especially with that Lotus Orb. Cheeky can't even turn around and avoid him.
Got the gem.
Takes that one away. Our Doom, by the way, is going to be going for Refresher before the Aghanim Scepter.
It hasn't really... I guess it would have taken long enough on Slardar. I don't know if it would have killed him that fight.
Yeah.
But having 2 Dooms is
jump in, Q. He gets the Force Staff out, should be fine. Universe is actually out of mana now. So no more hook shots. Q, oh no. He's gonna take out the rocket, it'll finish him off, and now RTC keeps pressing forward with all these cores down on the side of CDEC. They'll actually jump in Winter's Curse on XC. They'll finish off the last core of CDEC in quick fashion. And CDEC is the time to call it. Carter's the only one left alive. They have a buyback on the Broodmother, but EG, who know, they could just take on these tier 4 towers. Looks like evil geniuses. We're gonna have perhaps a rematch of ESL 1 Frankfurt just before a TI. Different rosters, different teams. So CDC are still going to try and fight this one. They managed to get the Ice Blast out. The Doom goes out. Smail immediately gets the bash on Aggressive. Backs himself away to the Fountain once again, but they're just beating on the Fountain at this point. The Throne, that's all they need to do. Refresher comes up. Aggressive throws down another Doom, and they can't quite finish up the Throne just yet. Samael gets cold and braced up. He's going to be able to turn and fight for the Throne. 250 HP. Go for it, Samael. Go for it. He needs one more. Can't quite get it for 5 HP. Universe gets it in the end, and EG win it in clutch fashion. You knew they had this game all along, but CDEC just decided to make the ending a little bit more climactic. So well done by Evil Geniuses.